My husband Jacob and I started our debt-free journey about 6 years ago when we got married right out of college. And because we started our marriage off being so young and living very minimally, we decided to still keep living pretty simply so that we would be able to pay off our debt as soon as possible. So during our debt-free journey and up until now, we didn't really have to give up a bunch of things, but there are some common things that we decided not to spend money on while we were paying off debt. And even since we've been debt-free now for almost 4 years, we still will not spend money on. So today I'm sharing 6 normal things that a lot of people will spend money on that we do not. Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel we talk about life and money and how you can enjoy life while still being able to accomplish financial goals through the use of a budget. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, then scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any new videos. Now I want to start this video off by saying that I don't think that you're a bad person at all if you choose to spend money on these things. I love that a budget gives you the permission to spend and you can customize your budget to allow yourself to spend money on things that are important to you. But if you're going to spend money on things that are important to you, you also have to cut back on things that maybe aren't as important. So a lot of the things that I'm sharing are things that we just don't think are as important to us and that we've been able to cut out of our budget. And by not spending money on certain things, we've been able to open up our budget to allow us to be able to put more money towards things like big financial goals and other fun things that we want to do, like going on vacation that we totally do value. So let's break it down. Here are the 6 things that many people will spend money on, but I choose not to, or at least I spend very minimally on these things. First up is subscriptions. This is such a tricky one because I bet that you are probably spending more on monthly subscriptions than you think. This can include things like Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, like everyone has a streaming service these days, so I'll add up all of those subscriptions. Also including things like monthly subscription boxes. Maybe you get a box of clothes sent to you or another goodie box full of things that you didn't know that you needed and now suddenly it arrives at your house and now of course you think that you need it. Or dare I say, meal kit delivery services, which costs way more than it would be to just go out and purchase groceries on your own, find a recipe online, use groceries, make it yourself. I found that the average person spends $237 a month on subscriptions, which is a lot. Now, there are some good subscriptions out there that I'm a huge fan of that I will continue to pay money for, but I just try and really limit these and think, do I absolutely need this? And I will say I absolutely do need Disney Plus. We pay for our Disney Plus subscription. We pay it annually. And the other subscription that I have is Love Every. I love Every toys. And I do think that we would be buying toys for my son Peter if we didn't have our Love Every subscription. So that is an additional one. I will say Love Every does actually send that to us with no cost for us, but this is a subscription that I was planning to pay for if Love Every wasn't sending it to me. So those are just the 2 that I would be paying for subscriptions, but everything else I don't do subscriptions because all these little things can add up and it could be over $200 worth of subscriptions. But again, if you really enjoy a subscription, spend money on it, but because you spend money on a subscription means that you won't have the money to spend elsewhere. The second thing that we don't spend money on is car maintenance. Well, at least we don't pay someone else to do car maintenance. My husband Jacob is very handy when it comes to cars and things like that. So we actually save like $75 a month into a car maintenance fund in our budget. And this is what we'll use anytime we have to do any sort of repair on the car. I think that we've had to take our cars into the actual shop maybe twice because they were like bigger things, but everything else basically Jacob takes care of, which even includes changing all of our oil, doing the brakes, even rotating tires. So he's able to do all of these things and it saved us a lot of money. I know that everyone doesn't have access to a handyman, a husband, but I am really grateful that Jacob does this for us. And it's a cost that we don't have to pay for, again, unless it's something pretty major that we'd have to have done. I don't think that we've paid someone else to do maintenance on our cars for maybe like 2.5 years. The third thing we really limit spending money on is eating out. This can be a huge cost in someone's budget. I would say eating out and groceries. We really try to limit this. But eating out specifically, I saw that the average amount that people will spend on eating out is $250 a month, which honestly I think is pretty low because I feel like I know a lot of people who spend more than that. In our budget, we budget $150 a month for eating out, and we feel like that allows us to be able to enjoy going to restaurants. We try and go to like happy hour, spend less on food, or even sometimes, honestly, Jacob and I will share a meal when we go out to eat because portions seem to be so big and it like works for us to share a meal. I also feel like we're like the 80-year-old couple, you know, at the restaurant sharing a meal, but it works, and therefore we're able to go out more times when we choose these more affordable options. But yeah, we spend 150 and that seems to be fine for eating out, and this can be a huge budget buster if you're not watching it. For example, if you're going out to lunch every day when you're at work and you spend $10 per meal, that is $50 a week and could be like $200 a month right there in just going out to eat for lunch. So this can be a really easy category to go over budget on and be spending more than you expect. The fourth thing we do not spend money on and never have is a car payment. The average car payment is $568 a month for a new car, which is crazy. That is so much money. For Jacob and I, we would rather pay cash for any sort of car that we buy. Since we've been married, we've bought 3 cars and we've done all of this in cash. I also think that sometimes getting a car loan may make you feel like you should be buying more car than you actually need to. So we just kind of view it as like, do we need to be buying this more expensive car like if we don't have the cash for it? And I don't think that we need to be. So we buy cars that are a few years old. We drive two 2013 vehicles right now, and it seems to be fine. So they're 8-year-old cars and they are nice compared to the 98 Camry that we used to drive, and we make do with it. This expense can be pretty large in your monthly budget, and I also just don't want to take on any additional debt. I know that some car loans can be really low interest rates, but even that, like, I don't want to pay interest on a car or on anything. And so we just decide to forego getting any sort of car loan, and we've just bought all of our cars in cash after we've saved up for it. The fifth thing that we will not pay money for and never have is credit card interest. Now, we actually do use credit cards. We have a few of them that we rotate through and frequently use. We actually put everything we can on a credit card, but we use them responsibly. We pay them off in full every single month. We even have auto pay set up on our credit cards so that it'll pull from our bank account whenever we have that date set. And with that, we have never paid a single penny in credit card interest, but instead we've just been able to take advantage of the great rewards that come with some credit cards. We have one that gives us cash back. I have another one with Starbucks. I've gotten all these free coffees. We have one with Alaska Airlines, so we've been able to receive companion fares and go on vacations. And we have another one with Hilton, so we've have some hotel points that we plan to use here pretty soon. So it's been a great benefit to be able to get these, benefits with these credit cards, but we've never paid a penny in interest. But I would never suggest for anyone to use a credit card if you don't think you can use it responsibly, which means you are not planning to use it to go over budget on something. You still use your budget and stay within those guidelines, and also you pay it off in full. You shouldn't be paying a penny in interest. So we've never paid a dime in interest. I love using credit cards, use them for any purchase I can, but just use them responsibly and pay them off every month. And the sixth thing that I will not pay for, or at least I try to really minimize, are impulse purchases. Now, I'll fully admit, I love going to Target, and sometimes there are things that end up in my cart that I wasn't necessarily planning to buy, but I really try and limit this and set myself up so that I won't even have a temptation to make any sort of impulse purchase. For example, it was recently just Prime Day, and for Amazon Prime Day, they're running some great deals, but I couldn't even think of anything that I truly needed, and so I didn't even go on Amazon. I didn't even look to be tempted by it because I couldn't think of anything that I even needed. So I try to stick to just purchasing things that I know that I need or I want, and I've planned ahead. But I will say there is something that you can do to combat impulse purchases and still allow yourself to do that is by just including it in your budget. So for example, I have a personal spending line item in my budget and I get $100 each month of personal spending money. And therefore I could have the permission to spend on any sort of impulse purchase that I want. And it's still within that guideline of my budget because I've already accounted for it there. So when I do go to Target and I see something that I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want that, and I put it in the cart, it's okay because I've budgeted for it and I have the money set aside to be spent on these sorts of things. I just try to limit it because I also want to spend my personal spending money on things that I already know that I really want and need. So impulse purchases definitely do happen to the best of us, but I try and limit that to the best of my ability so that I won't be spending all of my personal spending money on impulse purchases. But instead, I think, do I truly need or want this item? I even heard a really great recommendation if you are at the store and you see something that like all of a sudden you want to put in your cart and you want to buy, but you weren't planning on buying. Leave it there, go back around the store, finish all the shopping that you came there for, and then if at the end of your shopping trip you remember it, then you can go back and get it. But if you forget about it, then you probably didn't need it or want it that bad in the first place. Another great tip is to always have a shopping list whenever you go to the store. That way you remember the things that you came into the store for and you're less likely to pick up things that you didn't need in the first place. So those are the 6 things that we do not spend money on, or we spend very little money on, that many people would spend. And therefore we're able to save money on those sorts of expenses and then be able to put more towards financial goals or other things that are important to us, like saving up to go on some awesome vacations that we have planned later this year. So let me know in the comments below what is one thing that you do not spend money on, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just